Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we're recording Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Coming at you late with a Eagles recap game against the Baltimore Ravens. We like to do it on the same night so we have it out the next morning, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, especially with the 2:30 games and everything. And, game of the week, it gets late, we get exhausted, and it's just hard to do now that I got a little baby at home and everything.
And we got to get up for work. It's too hard to do. Yeah. So hopefully you watched all the other shows and now you're going to hear the real stuff.
That's right, Dad. That's right. Well, before we get into it, as always, let's give a shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles Fan Club of Colorado Springs, which we are part of. At Rhinos, there was 41 fans. Thank you to David for giving me that count. 41 fans showed up to watch that Eagles game. That's awesome. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the Eagles defeat the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, 24-12. I'm sorry. Yeah, 24-19. I forgot they scored on a last-second touchdown, of course, in garbage time, like the last three teams have done against us.
Yes.
So just want to point that out. In the last four games, the Eagles, with a minute left in the game, had two or more scores, or had a lead of two or more scores.
Yeah,
at least.
And it's funny because I saw a stat today that said in the last 8 games, the Eagles have given up 15.3 points per game.
Yeah.
And I went, well, let's take about 2 of those points off, or even 3, and make it about 12.
Yeah.
Because they're giving these garbage touchdowns up, and I don't even know why the other teams are doing it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You're just looking for an injury. Luckily we're getting some of our younger guys in there to play. I believe Jalen Carter even came out on one play.
The only one I understood is the Commanders one.
Yeah.
Because they were within one score, and there was still 30 seconds left.
Right.
But the Rams, they were down 3 scores, and they scored a touchdown with 1 minute and 6 seconds.
Right.
And Baltimore, they could have gotten an onside kick, but they would have had 2 seconds. And I guess people talk about, Hail Marys and whatever. But no, I just want to point that out, though. Dallas, we were up, of course, 34-6. Commanders, we were up 2 scores with, 30 seconds left.
Right.
Rams, we were up 3 scores to win the game. So with a minute left, we were still up. And this game, we were up 2 scores until 7 seconds. Right. So just like to point that out. That just shows how good the defense is and how much the NFL loves garbage time against us.
It makes it to the point where, it's 4th and 1 at their 20, just kick the field. But no, go for the first down. It's really, you're pushing me to do that, and it just bothers me.
I know. Let's get into it all. So to start off with the good, and really I have other goods, but the main good, the biggest thing, this defense is unbelievable. I mean, Dad, this defense is unbelievable.
Yeah,
this was the number 1 offense going into this game, the Ravens.
Yes.
They were the number 1 offense. I think they were number 2 rushing. They were number 1 passing, I'm pretty sure. They were the number 1 offense in the NFL, and we held them to 372 yards when they were averaging 400 and I can't remember.
Really 302 yards.
We held them to 302 yards because their last garbage time drive was 70 yards.
Which, if they called the game right, that last run would have never even counted.
True.
So it just drives you crazy.
But it's just funny. In total yards, 372, and it's just unbelievable how we limited to almost more than 100 yards less than normal.
And it's funny because that first quarter, when you're watching the game, this is just the way Vic Fangio does it. This is the way he does it with this young defense. He lets you do what you want to do. And then he says, okay, now we're going to tighten it up. He let them do. He figures out what they're going to do. I mean, look at some of the plays that we made defensively late. They knew what they were going to do, a little dump-off pass to Henry, a little this outside pass to this guy, and they were right there to just slop them off. And it was just amazing. So it's just, I know what you can say about some of these defenders we've got that are just playing. Jalen Carter is playing out of his mind. He's as good as Donald was for the Rams. He's playing as good, if not better. And they're triple covering the guy. It's true.
Okay.
If they weren't, if they were playing it like, hopefully Jalen gets some respect here so that they start stopping with some of the penalties that aren't being called. But, Aaron Donald, you couldn't stop him, and they cannot stop him. They can't stop Jalen Carter. He's incredible. And the game that Davis played was amazing. Of course, nothing else you can say about Quinion and Coop. They were just incredible.
Names I want to shout out.
Incredible.
Zach Bond, hitting 13 tackles and half a sack. Split that sack with Jalix Hunt, who I have to point out. Jalix Hunt, a guy that third-round pick who wasn't really expected to do much this year. And earlier in the season, he got a sack, but it was kind of lucky
late
game sack.
Yeah,
this was a real sack. This was a big deal to continue the dominance of the game that we had on defense. I mean, it's unbelievable. really know what to say.
Well, Hunt had 2 combined tackles, half a sack that he did with Bond, and a quarterback hit.
And let's state this: that sack by Zach Bond and Jalix Hunt that knocked him into his point where they missed the field goal.
That's right.
That was a 14-yard loss, maybe 14 yards.
That was a big one.
14 yards. So instead of a 33-yard field goal, kicking a 47-yard field goal.
Yeah, that was a great play.
Big deal, and then they missed it. N'Kobe Dean 10 tackles, Cooper DeJean 5 tackles, and really the best play of the game. What I loved, he picked up and slammed Derrick Henry to the ground. Like that might be. I mean, you can argue it. That might be the most textbook tackle in NFL history.
Beautiful. Yes.
I mean, when I watched that tackle, I watched it in slow motion later on, and it's quite possibly the best tackle ever because it's like if you're going to teach your kid how to play defensive player to get tackles, that's a play you show him and go look at him, ear hole, arms down, drive the feet, lift, and it was unbelievable. 250-pound running back being tackled by Cooper DeJean.
50-pound difference between the players. You didn't even see it. Coop just picked him up. It was just that's how you're supposed to tackle. It was amazing. It was with 4th and 8, I think, at the time or something.
It made it 4th and 8.
Great.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. It started to put the game away.
It did.
I thought Rodgers had a good game. Tristan McCollum came in for an injured Reed Blankenship, and he had that huge pass breakup.
Yes, he did.
On 4th down, the next play.
Yes.
Could have been an interception. Did you want it to be an interception?
Not
yes.
Really. I wanted him to pick it because from what I hear, there was a lot of field in front of him too.
Possibly, yeah. If he drops it, it's the 4th down. We get a better field positioning, but you do like that interception.
We need the turnovers.
Nolan Smith, 8 tackles and a sack. This guy, he went from being a bust at the beginning of the first 4 games. It's like, oh, this guy's nowhere. This guy's our best run defender aside from Carter.
He had a tackle for loss. He had a quarterback hit and a sack, so that's 2 quarterback hits, if you will. He was just incredible.
Yep. Josh Sweat had 5 tackles. I thought he was great against the run. He had a sack wiped off by a penalty by Avonte
Ticky tack,
which I have to ask, why is this guy still playing in the game? That's the only bad I have on defense. Like you mentioned, Carter. I thought Reed was playing well.
Yeah.
Davis, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He only had 1 tackle on the stat sheet, but he's obviously a leader on this defense.
He came up on that one play and just blasted him.
Yes,
he didn't hit Cooper's hand, but he came up and knocked that guy and he even said something to him like, "Just lay down. What are you doing?"
He said something. But his intangibles, at the end of the first quarter, the defense was pretty upset with themselves. They let up 9 points, and Gardner-Johnson's on the sideline, hyping these guys up, getting them intense. And after that, it was a shutout. They only scored 3 points after the first quarter if you take away the garbage time.
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
Basically no points in the second half and only 3 after the first quarter.
Correct.
Which is incredible. Correct. Now, like I said, they did have some yardage. Some of it was garbage yardage. Of course. I do have an under Nest play with
please.
Early in the game, Nolan Smith, what's his name? King Henry was running, and he came from the side and tackled him, but he took out, he hit him on the ankles. Okay. And just like it was one of these, he slid over, the big guys were there to grab him, and he just flattened him, took out his legs, but he hit him right on the ankles. He just took him right out. And it was almost like a roll tackle, but it was a beautiful hit. And that was early in the game, and they just continued to keep him from running the ball. It was really, they only had a few good carries in the game.
Another under the nest from early in the game. Obviously, we started with the ball. On their first drive, they had that Zay Flowers end. He went on the jet sweep.
Right.
And Jalen Carter got back there, tackled him for -3 yards.
That was beautiful.
The next play was an incomplete pass, and then they had to kick. They had to settle for a field goal instead of getting 17 yards and a touchdown. You know what I mean?
Carter had 3 tackles for loss in the game, so
that's unbelievable.
But just the play he made, and of course the Bond play that he knocked Henry when they did that little sweep, if you will, pitch out, and Bond just came in untouched and just did. The great thing is, it wasn't like a grab his shirt and pull him. He knocked him to the ground in seconds.
Yeah,
kind of like the Carter sack on Jackson at the same time. There was no fooling around. Just hit him, and he went right down to the ground. It was beautiful.
No, I don't. There's not much. There's nothing else to say about this defense. You hope everyone comes back healthy. Reed left the game with the concussion. Quignon left the game, came back, so you knew he was okay. Yeah. And here's the thing: Quignon's stats they almost speak for themselves. 1 tackle,
right?
That was because no one's.
One pass defense.
No one's catching him. No one's throwing the ball to him.
Throwing the ball to his side. They're not even running to his side. But
now
it was amazing.
They might be running to his side, but DeJean's tackling him before he gets there.
It's true. He's always there to clean it up if he has to. But there's been just the way they can contain Jackson. They only had 3 sacks, 4 in the bummer one, but three confirmed sacks, and it was big sacks. All of them were huge at the time. But, I mean, it was just amazing how they kept Jackson in the pocket for the most part.
Yeah.
So they were staying in their lanes. They were boxing the end. There was a few plays that I was kind of upset where they let him get the outside.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
You know, it is going to happen.
It's one of those players that you can't get too upset about when a big play happens because you're like, well, that's, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
You know that's going to happen.
Keep it to a couple of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Let's go to if we could talk about the defense all day.
You could. I could.
Let's talk about the offense real quick. I mean, Saquon Barkley, it's funny when a guy has 107 yards, 107 yards and 10 yards receiving, and what did he lose 5 yards on that last play to run the clock off?
Right.
There you go again with the numbers, but
it's
just great that an off game by him is still really great. It's still a good game.
Just that touchdown run.
Yeah, 25-yard touchdown.
Not untouched, but just ran through people.
Yeah, not untouched. He broke 3 or 4 tackles. I mean, this guy, we talk about it every week. He gets better as the game goes on. While everyone gets tired, he gets amped.
It's funny because when he was around the 5-yard line, there was a guy standing there. He ran right past him, and then I'm like, "There's no way that guy that's being blocked in the end zone is going to say he's just going to run him over." And then that guy just kind of backed away, just stay away from that train.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, he's incredible. He is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's funny, they could continue to stay with the run. It was kind of ugly early, but it's funny. I did want to shout you out because we have talked about, they have the number 1 rush defense and the 31st pass defense.
Yep.
But what happened in that game, we ran for, 145 yards, and we threw for 114 yards.
Yep, that's
118 yards. So, I mean,
but minus stack yards, you're right.
Yeah, but you're talking, you thought we were going to have a 220 passing yard game.
I know.
And the week before was the same way with the Rams. We'd said they're the best this and they're the best that, and we did the opposite and just did whatever. It took a while to get that running game going, and there was a few stalls. The first quarter was ugly again. Third quarter, we ran 6 plays, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But, you keep them from scoring points.
Yeah. My last good is what I was going to say, Kellen Moore, keeping to the run. I mean, it's just sometimes we said it. You and I said it. Early on, it wasn't running. It wasn't happening. Okay, the first play, you got 13 yards.
13 yards, right.
But after that, it really wasn't really working. And we even said it. We're like, okay, well, let's come back to that. Let's go ahead and we'll leave it for now. We'll come back to it later. And that's what they did. They came back to it, and it won the game.
It's funny, though, we normally don't like to listen to the TV announcers, right? We're
Can't stand them.
Either watching in a bar and it's loud and stuff, or it's on and you can't help but watch. But there was a call out by, I believe it was Romo at one point, and he said,
he's the worst.
They handed it to Barkley, and he got nailed, and he said, man, he had that whole left side of the field to run to if he had kept it. Hurts. And and he said, you're going to come back to their play. It was probably 3 or 4 plays later. He didn't run to that side, but they gave Barkley the look like he was going to get pitched out left, and then he took it to the right for 9 yards. And you're like, that's what you got to do. Just take what you can. Don't run every play. Don't have the quarterback run every play, but pick and choose your spots, Yeah. And it was good because when they did drive the ball, that one drive was incredible how easy it was. I remember saying to you, man, they moved the ball down there. It was a little throw to AJ, a little run, a little this, a little that. Yeah. I'm like, and then the pass to Goddard.
7 play,
It was just a beautiful drive. And I'm like, oh, we got him now. Well, that went away too. Yeah. So there was some good defense on the other side of the ball.
And it's also smart what they do. Saquon, just to go over that run, that was in the second, or that drive. This was in the second quarter, 10 minutes, 55 seconds left. Saquon Barkley, the right guard, -1 yard. Okay. 7-yard pass to Jahan Dotson. So now it's 3rd and 4, okay, because it was 2nd and 11. 3rd and 4. Saquon Barkley up the middle for 9 yards, all righty? Jalen Hurts, right tackle for 8 yards, okay? Right. Jalen Hurts, short left to AJ for 9 yards, okay?
I love those passes.
And then Hurts, pass left to Goddard for 17 yards. I mean, that's what you got to do, and we did it on the next drive too. Let's mention it real quick. Jalen Hurts, pass short to A.J. Brown, 15 yards. 5-yard run for Barkley. 15-yard pass to A.J., 5-yard penalty. Whoops.
Well, that was when he ran out of bounds.
Ty Becton, he threw the ball.
I was telling him to throw, and you're like, no.
A 14-yard pass to A.J., 9-yard pass to Goddard. 5-yard run for Saquon. Pass incomplete, 9-yard run for Jalen, and then touchdown at the 1-yard line.
That was a real
the touchdown. And, I mean, it's just that type of play calling is when we're at our best, when it's this, when it's that, when it's this, when it's that. I mean, it's important. You got to use the variety. Sometimes we fail to do that. That's what I had in the bad. Middle of the game, it felt like there were some offensive drives where it was like, hey, what are we doing? And early. Yeah. It's just like, what are we doing? Like, come on. Like,
I mean, obviously the run up the guts were not working, and we tried one early that I thought like that was not the time for that play. Yeah. Let's go off tackle. Let's go outside. Let's see what we got. I mean, they did that play to Shipley early, which was a good play, get him involved, but. Yeah. I don't know, maybe it's a little too early for that. But
people didn't like it, but I liked it.
I like the fact that they got another player in the game. That's what you have to do. So
you're missing Devontae. You got
you need something.
Brought back Britton Covey. He's back in. It's good to use the variety. You got to use variety.
Tough. He got hit in some of those punt returns too, man.
Yeah, he did. He's a tough dude, man.
He is a tough dude.
And he got hurt at one point, unfortunately.
Yeah,
he left the game at one point.
Like that.
My last bad, really. And this isn't even really just an Eagles thing. It happened to us a few times. It's really about the NFL. There's nothing I hate more than when it's 3rd and 7 and you throw the ball 4 yards.
Right.
The sticks are no route should be less than the sticks.
We pass to the right side.
There was that one. There was another one later on. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't understand. On 3rd down, I got to have it play.
Right.
Don't third and 7. You don't throw the ball 5 yards.
No 5-yard route.
Route should be less than the line of scrimmage. The first down. I mean, we saw this a few weeks ago with the Zach Ertz thing against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
Commanders and Steelers, and he didn't get the first down. Well, why are you running it to the stick? You run it past the sticks. I know it's hard to say because it can, it's tough, but I just don't understand that. I can't stand that.
I agree.
With Hurts, aside from that, nothing really to complain about.
Another error-free game, no picks, no fumbles.
Threw a touchdown, ran for a touchdown.
Yep.
He's doing what he needs to do. Let's address this. I'm sure a lot of people would say, that touchdown that we ran on the 1-yard line was a false start. Okay. And clearly it was. But
an offside for them.
I was going to say that at least 10 times this season we've run the tush push, and a guy on the other team's head is over the ball and offside. So
ridiculous.
What do you? I'm seeing it too. There's problems on both sides. I also like to point out, people were mentioning, why can't you you should be able to add a penalty on a replay. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, 2 years ago when we lost to the Commanders. And everyone made fun of me and everyone made fun of us because we lost our first game to the Commanders.
Right.
In that game, Dallas Goedert fumbled the ball, and when he fumbled it, his face mask would rip to the side. They reviewed the fumble, and you can't have the penalty.
Yeah.
So that's just –
Well, how about the Goddard play in the end zone where the pass maybe wasn't catchable, but that doesn't seem to matter for other teams. And Goddard's shirt was pulled, and they showed a replay, and you're like – and he turned to the ref, and he went like this.
Romo said it.
Thanks, Romo. And he showed the ref like he's pulling my shirt.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they say, they call that every time. Well, no, they don't. And the pass, in my opinion, he could have never caught that ball. But how many other times do you see balls that the guy could have never caught that ball? But they still call pass interference in the end zone, and you're like, that's BS.
All the time.
So weird integrity, no integrity.
Weird game about this. 5 fumbles, no turnovers. Isn't that funny?
No.
And it's also frustrating as the fan.
Actually, 5 for them.
No, 3 for them, 2 for us.
It was only 5. Okay.
3 for them, 2 for us. And no turnovers. Isn't that funny? 5 fumbles and not a single one was turned over. It's just such a strange thing.
For us on that one, it was late in the game, man. That was a
Saquon, that was probably a mark that you're like, come on, that's the only time you can't fumble. They can't fumble. You can't fumble there.
That play was kind of bad. But we missed the fumble, which was a bummer. And then they fumbled another one. And of course, I don't know if that considered. I guess the Jackson fumble too. He fumbled, remember? Mm-hmm. And he fell on that one. There was no chance to get that one. But
it was a bummer.
It was still Hunt should have maybe got a sack when he touched him, but they don't count that.
Yeah,
maybe that's a tackle for loss. I don't know. True. It has to be, right?
Yeah, I know. Bottom line: 10-2, unbelievable. One of the best teams in the NFL. You can't really debate that. And the biggest thing I'm going to say, I'm not going to say we're the best team. The Lions are Chiefs. The Bills. I'm not going to say anything, but I'll say this. We have the best defense in the league.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no debating that.
No.
Because before this game and before the Rams game and before, the Commanders game,
at the time,
they could make those debate of like, oh, it's not that, not that good. But, 3 straight weeks we hold our opponents to, against the Commanders, 18 with a garbage time touchdown. Right. The Rams 20 with a garbage time touchdown. And the Ravens 19 with a garbage time touchdown. So I just have to point that out. I mean, that's unbelievable. What you got as the average.
36, so that's 12.
36 in 3 games, right?
So I said 12 points a game.
12 points a game.
Yeah.
And
the last 3 games.
Yeah.
In real time.
And not garbage time. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. That's hilarious, man. Yeah, that's this defense is unbelievable. Funny enough, because it's not a team that gets a ton of turnovers, but they stop them. They stop you, and they're tackling. It's just crazy because before the bye,
you remember
the Tampa Bay game, it was like, we can't tackle anybody. This is the worst tackling team in the NFL.
Well, Kobe Dean had what?
17 missed tackles. Levante Maddox had 12.
I didn't keep track of that, but somebody else did.
Even Bond that game had it just at this point
they've done something.
It's working. And with Cooper DeJean in, we're 8-0. And
you got to say, here you got Nakobe Dean, right?
Yeah,
he was a bust.
Oh yeah,
and that's the word. Smith, first round pick at the end of the first round.
Yep.
He's been unbelievable the last month.
Oh, absolutely.
Jalen Davis, Jordan Davis, same thing. And Carter, of course, he's great. But funny thing about Carter is he does a lot of jaw and he does a lot of talking.
I know.
I know they're going to throw a flag on him one of these times, but hopefully, I know he's playing along too. He's having a great time out there playing. But I saw him kind of slap somebody in the face during the game. And
Lamar was like, "Dude, come on,
what are you doing, man?" And they're going to get him in one of them, but I think they see it's playful. It's not,
a lot of it is,
it's not egregious, So luckily for us, but he definitely's he plays with an attitude. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the NFL's starting to see it, and hopefully they start calling some of them plays where he's getting his shirt taken off his back. But we'll worry about that when we get to it. I know it's going to come. He just has to become the man, and get a accolade here and there, and it should work.
Some injuries to talk about that really stunk. Reed Blankenship left with a concussion. Of course, we talked about Tristan McCollum came in and covered for him real well.
Friendly fire,
played
too,
really well
for
for him.
Play.
Yeah, it stinks to see because, you probably, nowadays you don't really clear the concussion protocol in a week. It's very rare.
Yeah.
So you kind of expect him to be out at least this next game.
Yeah. Hopefully it's just a dinger.
Hopefully not, but we'll see. Britton Covey left the game with a neck injury. Hopefully, also not too big. Yeah, he's a small guy and he's a tough dude, but he gets hit.
And he got whacked on that first punt return. Remember, they kind of ripped his head around.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And then big one, Quinion left. He came back, and the biggest one really, Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert is expected to miss some time. I don't think they've really put out there yet how long he's going to be missing. But it seems like he is going to be missing some time right now, and it's actually possible that he goes on injured reserve, which would mean 4 weeks. But this is where you talk about, hey, Calcaterra got a lot of time earlier this year, and this is where it plays dividends. Pays dividends.
I agree.
You have a guy who he had to cover for Goddard earlier when he was hurt, and he's got experience playing with this offense, which is the most important thing, and he's got Jalen's trust. And he recovered that fumble back in Washington a couple weeks ago. Yeah. And he's a big time player and needs to be.
We have guys that fill in these pieces, so that's what you want. And then hopefully Devontae's coming back.
Absolutely.
And then we got Gainwell didn't get any action this week, but he's ready to play anytime we need him.
Talk about Devontae. Before this game, it's like we find out an hour before the game.
Right.
Devontae's not playing. It's a slap in the head.
It's need it. Yeah.
God, we're screwed. This stinks. And it's funny now that you walk away with your win, you're like, oh, man, it's a good thing he didn't play. Because now an extra week of rest that he didn't need to play. And
the old soft tissue injury.
I know. It stinks. It sucks to hear. I hate it, man.
He's been out since the Thursday night game, so he missed the Rams game, and now he's missed this game. So hopefully he's good to go. And, I don't want to take the next game lightly, but it's at home. It's a little bit, a little more control, hopefully. And
he missed the Rams game?
Didn't he?
I think you're right. I just it hit me now
because he had 10 days to get ready. He didn't play, and then another week. So
it's good to note that. Yeah, you're right. He's got
a month now,
2.5 weeks of rest now, and
yeah,
it's good. It's good that it's good when you don't. It's good when you don't play a guy and then you win because then you're like, oh, it's good. It's all good now.
And Slay was out, and hopefully he'll be back. That was a concussion too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So hopefully he's back, and he could use a little rejuvenation here at the end because he's getting up there in age. And
so aren't these helmets supposed to be advanced now to where it limits concussions? I don't know.
I saw Blankenship's play. It was a good play.
It's probably not. I don't know.
A knee and a head or something they said, and I didn't see it.
I guess I wouldn't say it's like, oh, there's more concussions because there's probably just more that are cared about. You know what I mean? Like that's probably the biggest thing. Yeah. But it's weird. It's like, man, it feels like there's so many more.
Well, it's funny. Remember Hamilton ran into Goddard, and he went into the booth downstairs with a concussion, and we're like, he got hurt, not a concussion. He hurt his arm or his leg or something. So, and then he did come back.
He came back. Yeah,
and he grabbed some shirts, of course.
He did. Let's talk about some other games of the weekend. So Commanders won. That you expect them to kind of beat the Titans, even though the Titans, put up a win up against Houston. But now Houston looks a little bit down to earth, which will happen every single year. But yeah, the Commanders blow out the Titans. They've got a bye next week, and then they've got the Saints. So they're going to be coming to us pretty soon. The next few weeks they're going to be coming to us and playing us in Washington. So this is gonna be a big deal at that point, depending on what we do over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
This was such a huge game to win.
It was. Gigantic. I mean, I don't want to say it's the biggest game of the year, but it definitely was one on the calendar that we looked at and went, Ravens away. They've been good for years.
Yeah. Steelers,
Commanders,
Cowboys.
Lamar Jackson is 24-1 against the NFC.
Yeah, he was 23-1. Now he's 23-2.
That's right.
Against the NFC.
Right.
Yes,
the NFC. Well, not the East, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so that's a pretty good thing to do. And it was national television. It was the big game. If you watched any of the shows, it was the lead story.
Oh, of course it was.
I mean, they tried to make the Bills 49ers story a lead story, but
they would have wanted it to, but it was boring.
The Bang Bang Gang is just done for the year. They're looking bad. I mean, they're in trouble.
Yeah, well, now Christian McCaffrey's out for the season. It looks like
I heard it did something to his patellar.
Not an ACL, but I think a PCL or
PTL. Sorry. His patellar tendon or something.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's a bummer. That's
great. It is. Great but 200 yards on the year rushing.
Oh, man, they lost Jordan Mason, too.
Yeah, they got 2 running backs on the IR.
Oh,
that's starting this week. The year we don't get the plan, right?
I know, right? Yeah,
well, they keep saying, it's so funny, they keep saying the Lions schedule, they have this team, and then they say the Niners in 4 weeks, and I'm like, I just,
They got the Bears in Chicago, which is a big one because they almost lost on Thanksgiving. They've got Minnesota again. They've got Green Bay again. I know we're off topic.
Well, the big game's Green Bay this week. So
of course,
that's cool.
Thursday night.
Yeah, probably.
It's funny, though, because it's not a short week for Detroit because they played on Thanksgiving last week.
Which is really how they should do it. If you know what I mean? I think it's 2 teams should do it that way.
Yeah, it's difficult because now Minnesota's on a short week. You know what I mean?
Right.
In a tough game that was. I mean, it was in Minnesota, so it's not too big, but
yeah,
it's kind of weird.
Yeah. There's a way to work around those Thanksgiving games. Yeah.
But we got a big. That's a big deal. Watching what Detroit does. Still got the first seed locked up right now. Not locked up, but still in the lead for the first seed. And they're playing against a pretty tough schedule coming up with the Vikings and the Bills, and they got the Packers again later this season. Yeah. So, good teams, 3 really good teams.
And the Lions have the Packers twice?
They already played the Packers.
Okay.
They play the Vikings this week, right?
No, it's the Lions and Packers on Thursday Night Football. Yes, that's the prime game.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, they already did play the Packers then. So I'm sorry, I'm mixing it up. They play the Packers. They play the Vikings later this season.
Right.
Their last game of the season is against the Vikings, which could be a huge game for the division.
I keep watching them, and they just don't look great. But Darnold's having a good year, and they keep winning. I mean, the Cardinals were up 20-6 or something in that game, and they ended up losing, which. There it goes.
19-6, it looks like.
Yeah,
we're up big. Yeah, they came back and won that in Minnesota. So maybe Arizona doesn't like the cold either. I know they don't. We're from Phoenix, and
they play indoors in Minnesota, but they don't like the cold outside. Maybe I don't know.
Another big game that we kept an eye on: the Seahawks beat the Jets. I know it's hard because you want the Jets to kind of. You don't like. I know you really hate the Seahawks, and I do too. But I would rather the Seahawks in the playoffs than the Rams. You know what I mean? And I'd rather the Seahawks in the playoffs over the Niners. I'd actually rather the Niners now because they're just terrible.
Right. Well, you still got 6 weeks to go, right? So.
Yeah, there's a lot of time, but the Niners season's over, and the Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals, they're all still in play. Yeah, someone has to, unfortunately, But they might lose. They're going to lose to the 5th seed right away.
Probably.
If they're playing the Vikings, it's kind of funny to think about. But yeah, the Seahawks win to take control of that division. The Panthers, oh man, we're playing the Panthers next week, and it's hard because it's like, well, we don't like Tampa Bay, clearly. So we're kind of cheering for the Panthers to beat Tampa Bay. We don't really want to see Tampa Bay in the playoffs. I wouldn't
prefer not to, right?
But it's just funny because it's like, well, do we want the Panthers to win? Because we play them next week, so we don't really want them, on a roll. We want them to. So
they've been playing better, though.
In a way, it's like, you want the Panthers to win to beat Tampa Bay, but you also are okay with the Panthers losing because at least they're coming to Philly a little bit dejected. You know what I mean? Like,
season's over now. So
and they lost in a sad overtime loss where the running back fumbled and all that sort of stuff. Right now, the Broncos are up 21-17 over the Browns in the half. It just hit the half.
Good.
It seemed like the Browns were kind of a little bit rolling over them, but I guess the Broncos, while we've been up,
got a good defense and their quarterback's playing well. So
not today. 9 for 18 and interception. So
well,
yeah. Did they throw a pick 6 or something like that?
Well, then we saw the pick. Remember the one pick we saw?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, was that Jameis Winston?
I thought the Browns got it.
Jameis Winston threw a pick, and I think it may have been a pick 6 because I don't see any really touchdowns here.
Right.
Let me see. 45-yard field goal.
Yeah. Pick 6, touchdown. Yeah, nice. Okay, there you go. My friend Colby's probably pretty happy right now. But all right, man, you got anything else to say?
No, it's good win.
Good stuff. We'll be back later this week to record and talk about the Eagles Panthers game coming up on Sunday next week. What time is that game at? 11 o'clock?
Yes,
back at the 11 o'clock.
Yes.
Love it. Maybe we'll be able to get an episode out that night.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe down below. Comment your questions on the game thoughts on the game, maybe predictions going forward. And you can email us your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.